And so we've been talking about the big three this entire video, right? The in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the nexus. Presumptive conditions are the absolute easiest, easy peasy, lemon squeezy type of claim you can submit ever, right? The big three does not apply at all. The nexus is either medical in nature or presumptive in nature. And so when it's presumptive, the VA says, hey, I concede these conditions came from this. Okay. So boom, nexus check mark. That's the most difficult part of a claim, anyways. It's a nexus. The VA is saying, hey, we got it. Don't worry about it. All you need to do is prove two things. One, whatever legislation that presumptive condition is under, let's take the PACT Act, for instance, Gulf War era. If you meet the time criteria, right, on what was it, September 11th, 2001, or after, right, in Afghan, Iraq, Saudi, Kuwait. There's a few other, I don't even know if Saudi's on that list, but double check that, okay? And then there's a Desert Shield, Desert Storm list as well. So if you meet the time criteria, got it. And two, the most important thing about presumptive conditions is the current diagnosis. I cannot tell you how many times I see in it. This one really gets under my skin. And it goes back to the current diagnosis because that also gets under my skin. But veterans will badmouth the VA. And listen, I'm not the VA's biggest fan. Okay, they make mistakes. It's not perfect system. Got it. But I can't stand when veterans badmouth the VA saying they denied me this presumptive. I thought the PACT Act was doing this, this administration that, this administration this, blah, 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 blah. The VA sucks. And I'm like, well, let's see the decision letter, right? Let's see the decision letter. Like, why were you denied? And what is it 100% of the time? No diagnosis. It's like, oh, just want to do that. I'm like, hey, brother, relax, breathe, go speak to your healthcare team, go get a diagnosis, submit a supplemental claim. Boom, it's approved, right? Presumptive conditions are extremely easy. Now, I mentioned the PACT Act. There are tons of presumptives. Tinnitus is a presumptive. Now, that's going away, okay? But tinnitus is being roped under hearing loss and a few others. Hearing loss, diagnostic code 6100 at 10%. So tinnitus will still essentially maintain its 10% rating. Hearing loss is also presumptive within 1 year of leaving service. So there are different presumption clauses outside of PACT Act. It's not just PACT Act, right? There are tons of presumptives. I think asthma has a 10-year presumptive. Don't quote me on that, but I do think it's 10 years. Obviously, that's been overshadowed by the PACT Act now because asthma is also presumptive for Gulf War era veterans. But there are multiple presumption clauses outside of PACT Act. That's all I got on presumptives. It's really that current diagnosis that just makes me so angry. All right, Jason, take it before I start saying bad words.
So yes, presumptives are the easy road. Basically, what happens is the VA eliminates the need for that nexus, right? The VA presumes that if you have this condition and served in this location during a specified time frame, that it's automatic. So they just conceded to it. Now, in addition to the ones that Clay's talking about, like the PACT Act stuff, expanded presumptions in one way or another, a lot of conditions they added. You had the Blue Water Navy, which expanded the locations. You also have a new rule by the VA that's hopefully going to go into effect soon, expanding Agent Orange and herbicide locations, especially in the U.S. where it was used, tested, or stored. That's going to be huge. And then in addition, there's already a bunch of presumptives that were already put into place, right? So there was a lot of Agent Orange would be the biggest ones, right? That the ongoing kind of Agent Orange stuff, specifically Vietnam. However, there's, and I don't remember if, I just posted it recently on my other channel. There are hidden presumptive lists, right? Ones that nobody ever talks about. You alluded to it.
Yeah.
1 year from the time that you get out of service, right? So, and this is what gets under your skin, right? This gets under my skin. that nobody told any of us, hey, look, you're getting out tomorrow. There's the gate. We'll see you. Be gone. All right, bye. Nobody said, oh, and by the way, here's the VA. This is the compensation. This is how much money. And you have 1 year to go get diagnosed for any sort of diseases or ailments. Now, not I broke my leg 6 months after I got out and my leg doesn't work right. Obviously not injury stuff. But any other conditions, your migraines, your GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, your whatevers, right? You can go get diagnosed within 1 year. You have a 1 year presumptive window where a lot of these conditions will be considered presumptive. But none of us went because nobody told us. So for those of us that actually are recently discharged, getting ready to discharge, or maybe you actually finally went to the doctor after you got out, right? Maybe you've been out for 7 years, but you know that, hey, I went to the doctor right after I got out because finally I felt like I could. You need to find that doctor and go get any of that information from them, right? If I were to be getting out today, or if I got out yesterday and I just watched this today, what would I tell myself? Go run every single blood panel you could think of, get checked for everything from your thyroid to this to that, find out everything, because those could fall under presumptions. There's also 4 other presumptions out there that nobody really talks about. There's something called Hansen's disease, which is 3 years after you're discharged. If you're diagnosed with that within 3 years, it's a presumptive. There's tuberculosis if you have that within 3 years of getting out. MS, if you have MS, and that's within 7 years of getting out of service if you get diagnosed with that. And then ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, that's lifetime. If you get diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease anytime, it's just an automatic presumption that it's due to your time in service, and they will automatically pay you out at 100%. So if you know a veteran, if you are a veteran, if your grandpa or your grandma or whoever has Lou Gehrig's disease and they served in the military, they could potentially be getting 100% VA compensation. So just want to throw that out there kind of as a public announcement, I guess, because it just bothers me that people don't know about this stuff. So any last thoughts from you, Clay?
If you're going from whatever percentage you're at, specifically 90 to 100, I would absolutely follow the increase, the secondary, the denial, the new conditions, and presumptive template, right? Go on the VA app, see what you're connected for, and start wheeling and dealing that. Fun fact, and everyone knows I'm not a big fan of claims consulting companies. We won't get into that, okay? But when a claims coach reviews your file, it's this. They look at what you're connected for. They see increases. Boom, because those are easy, right? If I am trying to make money from veterans and steal their benefits, obviously I'm throwing that in there because of my beliefs. I'm looking at increases because it's easy. I'm going to be looking at secondaries because I know a private nexus can connect to secondaries, right? I'm also going to be looking at denials and say, hey, which of these are worth it? Which of these aren't? Am I going to fight a hearing loss that's likely going to come back at 0%? No, right? I'll scratch it off the list. And then new conditions, right? That's really the true easiest one out of all of these, especially if you have those service treatment records. And then presumptives. The PACT Act, there's a reason we see a increase in claims consulting companies when the PACT Act was established. I'll leave it at that. Food for thought, okay? But Jason, that's all I wanted to say is really, this is how you get 100%. This is what maximizing your VA benefits, VA disability compensation looks like. Increases, secondaries, denials, new conditions, and presumptive conditions. That's all I have, Jason. Go ahead and take us out.
All right. So absolutely spot on. Agreed. The bottom line is you, as the veteran, need to put the work in. The VA is not going to do it for you, even if they see it. You need to do it. You need to file for it. You need to find it, document it, develop it, utilize the intent to file, utilize your time frames, preserve your effective dates if you're denied, all that good stuff.